The snow fell in thick, silent flakes as the Kingsley family pulled up to the remote cabin nestled deep within the Adirondack Mountains. John turned off the engine, and for a moment, the only sound was the creaking of the pine trees weighed down by fresh snow. "This is it," he said, forcing a smile. Emily glanced at him, her eyes reflecting both hope and apprehension. "It's beautiful," she whispered, reaching back to touch Max and Lily's hands. Max, the ever-curious 12-year-old, pressed his face against the window, his breath fogging the glass. "Can we go explore?" he asked eagerly. Lily, 16 and perpetually glued to her phone, sighed dramatically. "Ugh, there's no signal here," she groaned. John took a deep breath, attempting to dispel the tension. "That's the point, Lil. A weekend off the grid, just us." The words hung in the air, ripe with unspoken intentions of mending frayed family bonds. The first day passed in peaceful activities, sledding down gentle slopes, building snowmen, and warming up by the roaring fireplace. That night, as the wind howled outside, Emily found herself staring into the flames, her mind a whirl of unease. "Is everything okay?" John asked, placing a hand on her shoulder. She hesitated. "It's just, I feel so isolated out here. What if something happens?" John squeezed her shoulder reassuringly. "We're safe. It's exactly what we needed, a chance to reconnect." Upstairs, Max was poring over a map of the area, eyes gleaming with adventure. "There's a frozen lake nearby," he told Lily. She glanced up briefly. "Sounds cold." He grinned. "Come on, it'll be fun." Lily rolled her eyes, but couldn't suppress a small smile. Despite herself, she was starting to unwind. The next morning, the family set out on a snowshoe hike. The landscape transformed into a glittering wonderland. The air was crisp, each breath visible as a white puff. Max led the way, his enthusiasm contagious. "Stay close," Emily called, her voice wavering slightly. The forest grew denser, the trees clawing at the sky like skeletal fingers. A sense of disquiet began to nip at their heels. "Are we still on the trail?" Lily asked, her eyes darting around. John checked the compass and frowned. "It should be just ahead." But as they trudged onward, signs of the path vanished, replaced by undisturbed blankets of snow. "Maybe we should turn back," Emily suggested. Max spotted a rabbit darting through the underbrush. "Look!" he shouted, giving chase. "Max, wait!" John yelled. But the boy had already disappeared behind a thicket. They found Max crouched over a crude snare, the rabbit trapped and struggling weakly. His face was pale. "I didn't mean to," he stammered. John knelt beside him. "It's not yours," he said quietly, freeing the creature with careful hands. A rustling noise made them all freeze. "Did you hear that?" Emily whispered. Out of the corner of her eye, Lily thought she saw a shadow slip between the trees. "We need to leave. Now." They backtracked, or so they thought, but the forest seemed to conspire against them. Every direction looked the same, endless columns of trees and unbroken snow. The sky began to darken as a heavy snowfall started. "My phone still has no signal," Lily said, panic creeping into her voice. John tried to stay calm. "We'll make camp here for the night. We'll find our way back in the morning." As darkness enveloped them, strange noises echoed through the woods. Twigs snapping, hushed whispers carried by the wind. Emily huddled close to John, her fears now manifest. "Something's out there," she insisted. Max clung to his sister, his bravado gone. Suddenly, a guttural voice pierced the silence. "Trespassers aren't welcome here." The family spun around to face a figure emerging from the shadows. A man clad in tattered furs, his eyes glinting with menace. Behind him, more shapes materialized, each more grotesque than the last. "We didn't mean any harm," John said, shielding his family. The lead trapper sneered. "Harm's already done. You've interfered with our hunt." The trappers closed in, brandishing makeshift weapons. Desperation gripped them. "Run!" John shouted. They tore through the forest, the trappers in pursuit. The world narrowed to the crunch of snow beneath their feet and the ragged breaths tearing from their lungs. Lily tripped on a hidden wire, a snare snapping around her ankle. She screamed as pain shot up her leg. Max and Emily rushed to her side, struggling to free her. John turned to face the oncoming threat, grabbing a fallen branch as a weapon. "Go!" he urged. In a surge of adrenaline, they broke the snare and stumbled forward. Just when escape seemed impossible, a distant glow flickered through the trees. "Lights!" Max exclaimed. They pushed toward it, the trappers' shouts fading behind them. Bursting into a clearing, they found themselves at the edge of a bustling logging camp. Workers stared in surprise as the disheveled family stumbled in. "Please, help us," Emily pleaded. The foreman approached, eyes widening as he recognized their distress. "You're lucky you made it here," he said gravely. "These woods aren't safe after dark." Paramedics were called, and as they tended to Lily's injured ankle, John thanked the foreman. "We were chased. There were men hunting us." The foreman exchanged a glance with an older worker. "You're not the first to say that," he replied. "But those trappers you saw, they've been dead for decades, lost in a blizzard after setting illegal traps. Some say their spirits still guard these woods." A chill ran through them as the weight of his words sank in. Back in the warmth of their cabin, the family sat in silence, processing the harrowing ordeal. Lily broke the quiet. "Do you think it was real?" she asked softly. Max looked at his sister, then at his parents. "Whether it was or wasn't, it brought us back together." Emily reached out, taking their hands. "We came here to reconnect," she said, her voice steady. "Maybe we had help." John nodded, a newfound appreciation shining in his eyes. "From now on, we face everything together." Outside, the storm had passed, and the moon cast a silver light over the untouched snow. In the distance, a lone figure watched from the tree line before fading into the shadows. A guardian of the forest, ensuring that those who trespass learn what truly matters.